Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Outta Boston, and today I'm back for episode number 22, part number 2 of the Los Angeles Rams Connected Franchise Year 2 offseason here, as we are moving forward into the draft portion of the offseason. We got through free agency in the last episode, but there is still plenty to do in this offseason. We've got a lot of changes to the roster coming, so you definitely are going to want to stay tuned for this episode. So here we go, just getting into some scouting here. Despite signing Richie Incognito, I still knew I wanted to draft at least one more offensive lineman. Corey Perkins here is looking like a potential guy to look at in the late rounds. Tyler Taylor, more of an early round prospect at right tackle, but he's got B+ run blocking. I really like to see that. We see Jeffrey Hayden here, another late round prospect, but he's got B+ run block. And Jimmy Hunter as well with B+ impact block. He's a projected 7th rounder, so we definitely got some good offensive line prospects, especially at the tackle position. DJ Scott on the defensive line, he's a 6'7" guy. His best attribute is block shedding. Looks like a guy who could potentially move to defensive tackle. But here we go, we have Derek Capers here. He's one of the guys who had been highlighted with the draft stories, and he looks like he might be one of the true studs to come out of this draft. B+ finesse moves, natural pass rusher out of the 4-3, would actually fit our scheme perfectly. The only question is if we could find a spot for him. We've obviously got a pretty stout front four as it is. But looking through more positions here, looking at linebacker, even though we signed Dante Hightower, the depth behind our first 3 linebackers is still not very good. And even looking at depth in the front four too, at defensive tackle, despite the fact that we do have Aaron Donald and Nick Fairley locked up for the next couple of years, still, you want to have good depth behind those guys. In the case of injury or anything else, here's Jordan Blair, a speedy wide receiver. He had a very good 40 time, a 4.3 40. I think that is like a 96 speed or something like that. So, he's got some of the physical or the natural skills, but we were looking at some of his ratings and not too sure about him. But looking at some more wide receivers here, a lot of guys with size and a lot of late round guys like Lamont Jordan. Here is Latevin James, Christian Carter, but Latevin James B+ catching, he's 6'5", I want to. Now, before we start the draft, there is one man I wanted to explore trades with, and that was Janoris Jenkins, coming off of a very disappointing season as our #1 corner, a bit overpaid, and a guy that I honestly just don't think is very good based on his ratings. I think that we have better options at corner with EJ Gaines, Amon Motes, and then potentially drafting another one. That would give us 3 really solid corners with ratings that we actually like. Janoris Jenkins doesn't really have ratings that I like. He has low zone coverage and just doesn't have high motor. And his attributes cost a lot to upgrade because of his status as a veteran. So he's just very hard to work with, I guess would be one way of putting it. He isn't very good as it is, and he's going to be hard to improve or difficult to improve. So I thought moving on from him would be the best option. I'm trying to get something like a late first rounder, early second rounder value out of him, but teams were not that interested. So we're taking a look at the very top part of the draft board this year. We do have the number 8 pick thanks to that trade we made with the Cowboys last draft where we traded down and picked up their first round pick in this year's draft. And like I said, looking at the front end of the draft, the only guy I'm really interested in is Derek Capers. The rest of these guys I don't have quite so high on my board, so I know that I'm going to be targeting Capers with our pick. We get through the first 4 and he was not picked. I didn't really want to chance it any further though, so I'm looking to trade up with the Vikings here and try and draft Derek Capers with that pick. I offer up my pick number 8 and Stedman Bailey. They were not liking that, so I finally offered up Janoris Jenkins. They did have a need at cornerback. We throw in a 2nd round pick. And again, they were just looking for a little bit more, so we go back to the same base offer, Jenkins, that 2nd round pick, and this time we're going to throw in a wide receiver, which is their 5th position of need, and we're going to be throwing in Stedman Bailey, a guy that is kind of a Tavon Austin copycat, and I liked having on the roster as good depth. He is one of the guys that we did initially re-sign in the last episode, but here we are going to draft Derek Favors, B finesse moves, B+ pursuit, B hit power, and he turns out to be number 7 in true talent. We get him at number 5 overall, so I guess technically a reach there, but 83 overall. It's certainly not going to be upset about that pick. He is looking like he is going to be a beast. So we'll see in year number 1. We'll probably substitute him in there with Willie Hayes a lot at left end. But moving forward, he should be a full-time starter. So now we're picking later in the first round. Matt Summer, that tight end I showed you, is somebody I know I want to get with a 30th pick. That is our own first-round pick. But now we still have that other first-round pick in number 8 in the draft, and we're looking at cornerback because we did just trade Janoris Jenkins. And even if we felt comfortable with Motes and EJ Gaines being the starting 2 cornerbacks last year, we'd still need to draft a nickel corner. So we're definitely going to go after a corner early in this year's draft. But I didn't really think that any of the guys we wanted it was necessary to take them at number 8, which is where our next pick was. So I was looking at the trade down offers, and I come to San Diego here. They're picking 15th in the draft. We're going to trade down with them. We pick up an extra 2nd and an extra 3rd. So skipping ahead now, you can see some wide receivers getting taken. Parks goes to the San Francisco 49ers. We'll be seeing him within the division twice a year. A couple more cornerbacks, but these guys weren't really ones I had high on my own draft board. I like some other ones, so I wasn't too worried about letting these guys go. And then Philly, I thought might take the cornerback I wanted. They are going to end up actually going with a middle linebacker who I thought about drafting, Jamarcus Joyner, but he didn't turn out to be any good. So now looking at this pick, and I did see that Tyler Taylor was here, the right tackle prospect, who could plug in to be a year one starter or could definitely be a developmental guy. He could be a starter at tackle or guard. So I was looking at Tyrus Crawford or Tyler Taylor. Couldn't decide which one to go with. Also was looking at some other cornerbacks though. Deion Graves is one that could be a second round target, and then Lorenzo Graham. And this is what I ultimately decided. I thought Graham looked pretty good as a second or third round prospect. So I'm going to plan on taking him later in the draft and get Tyler Taylor now. And Taylor, I don't want to say this is a bad pick, but I definitely think in hindsight we would have been better off waiting till the later rounds to go with a guy like Jeffrey Hayden or like Jimmy Hunter, or just guys later in the draft that we had scouted and thought could be plug and play players. As you can see, Tyrus Crawford ends up going number 18 to Seattle. That's going to be interesting to see moving forward. And then Javon Gore, number 19, goes to, I think that was Tennessee. Gore was the guy we had on our radar, but he gets picked. Now we're moving down to number 30, our third and final first round pick in this year's draft. And I know I was going to scout that or go after that tight end, and he does not get picked up until this round. I know that he is got, and I was actually looking at trade down options because I thought he might fall to the early second round, but the only trade down options we were getting were for future firsts. So I'm looking at the tight end here, and you can see he's got that little red rating, so his overall is not going to be very good, but I liked his physical skills, good catching in traffic. The only thing we really need to improve with him in the passing game is his route running, and then hopefully we can get his blocking up as well and turn him into a very good two-way tight end. Now, skipping forward in the draft, Deion Graves, I saw there, got drafted to the Giants, so he is off the board. We're definitely looking at Lorenzo Graham now. As you can see, Jordan Blair gets drafted by the Ravens. Thought that was interesting. But here we go. Our guy is Lorenzo Graham. So we get to pick number 48. Now he is the second best cornerback left on the draft board. He's actually picked number 47. So I'm trying to trade up here with San Diego, but they were not biting. I was offering up a second round pick in next year's draft, trying to give them some offensive line depth with a guy like Greg Robinson. Now I'm looking at quarterback play, trying to get them Nick Foles at the very least can improve their backup position. But they just were not having it. Now offering up Will Montgomery, guys who I don't think are going to be starters this year, but could have value to other teams. Eventually I just decided, screw it. We'll see if we can go, maybe 5 more picks and then make a trade then. So now we're in negotiations with the Titans for the 52nd pick. Our cornerback is still on the board. And finally we get someone to accept an offer, a future second and a 6th rounder from this year for that second round pick. And we are going to be looking at Lorenzo Graham with this pick, the 3rd round prospect, projected to go early in the 3rd, and he is going to be 61 in true talent, only a 74 overall, so not a great pick there, but still I liked his ratings, and I think he can definitely be a nickel corner at the very least for us in year number 1, and maybe even progress into a starter as we move forward. So now getting into the 3rd and 4th rounds here, I'm starting to look at wide receivers. There was that Vaughn guy, but I really liked Latevin James in the 6th, so I was going to wait out for him. Now we're looking at the trade down options. This is very late in the 3rd round. The prospects I liked at this stage were all 4th round projections, so I wanted to trade down. We're going to go with Seattle and pick up an extra 7th. Really not a lot of potential for loss there. They're going to go with a free safety, and we will just trade down a few slots and pick up that extra 7th, as I said. So now we're picking at number 114. None of the guys I really was looking for are off the board at that point, so it was a smart move to trade down. Then we get Corey Perkins, 77 overall starting center with that trade down selection, and that should pretty much fill out our offensive line. Now we really got 6 potential starters if you include Taylor for 5 spots. So really feeling good about the shape that is in. You can see Vaughn got picked number 122 to the Panthers. He turned out to be very bad though, less than a 70 overall. So we go with Latevin James, and he turns out to be a very good pick in the 5th round, 83 in true talent. And reminds me a lot of Soma Good. The one thing he really doesn't have is his route running. So him and Good both are still guys that I plan on, developing as we move forward the seasons here. Despite signing the 2 wide receivers that I signed, we still think those 2 guys have tons of potential, and we definitely want to see them fulfill that. So now with our 7th round pick, we are looking here, and I'm going to go with DJ Scott. I was thinking about that tackle from Texas A&M, Jimmy Hunter, but I eventually go with DJ Scott to help shore up the depth on the front 4. So now we've still got 2 7th round picks left, but I'm going to actually trade away both of them because at this point, all the prospects that were left on the board, I had not marked any of them as guys that I was kind of interested in or guys that I wanted to keep an eye on, and really just didn't think it was worth making the pick. So we're going to trade away for a future 6th, and then we're going to move to pick number 222 here, which is our own 7th rounder, I should say, not 2nd rounder. And once again, we're going to trade it away. I think we do the Giants trade here, I want to say, and pick up their 2018 6th rounder. And yes, we do. That is the trade we're going to make. I believe the Giants are on the schedule for next season. I think we play the NFC East, so that'll be interesting. But anyway, now moving forward out of the draft, that is going to do it. So take a look at our draftees. Obviously highlighted by Derek Capers. He's definitely going to be the stud of the bunch. I think he has the potential to be a pure pass rusher and a truly elite, front four guy moving forward. We'll see if he develops into that, though. Definitely has plenty of room to grow. Now going through some positional changes here. Greg Robinson, I'm going to move to guard just based on his ratings. He looked like he would be better as a guard. And then Ethan Summers, I'm going to move from center to guard. I want to give Corey Perkins the spot at center. And Summers is overall actually improved to an 84 when we moved him to right guard. So definitely a good move there. The offensive line looks like it's going to be from left to right. Ballard, Incognito, Perkins, and then Summers and Rashad Poteet. But we'll see if Tyler Taylor can crack one of those tackle spots. I think that I like Ballard and Poteet, but neither of those guys are set there in stone for good. So definitely some room to move around, I would say. But we're switching up Danny Trevathan and Dante Hightower. I wanted to move Hightower to the inside because I thought he would be better there than Trevathan would be, and I think Trevathan is better on the outside. His overall actually goes up when he's moved to the outside. Hightower's goes down when he is moved to the inside. So we'll see. Taking a look at some of the rookies, though, there's Nick Good. He got drafted number 1 overall to the Jets, a little QB competition in New York. There's Clifton Vaughn, the wide receiver I thought about drafting. He was only a 64 overall. Tyrus Crawford, 78 overall cornerback at 23 years old for the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how that works out. We'll get to keep a close eye on that moving forward as we get to play him 2 times a year. And then some more rookies here, the linebackers that I mentioned, Javon Gore and Joyner from the Eagles. Here was a tight end, though, Cole Chandler, who got picked after Matt Summers. He was an 80 overall. He got picked in the 2nd round and went to New Orleans. So, some hindsight there. Bernard McKnight, little backup quarterback now for Pittsburgh. He could contend for a starting job in the future. There was Jimmy Hunter, 74 overall. Wouldn't have been too bad. Kaliko Riley is a guy I should have gone after. Left outside linebacker at a 4.3 base. He was an 81 overall. That would have been a perfect fit on the team. And then Aaron Mays, a guy I scouted late in the year, defensive tackle, along with Chris Clark. Some really good defensive tackles in this draft. The front 4 in general, I think, is much like it is in real life. Really, the front 4 and front 7, I think, had good drafts for this bunch. But looking at some more tackles here, and then 2 83 and 84 overall defensive tackles go to the Packers here. The rich get richer, as they're a team that went to the Super Bowl last year at 15-1 and maybe be even getting better. So definitely something to look out for there. But that is going to do it. So we are going to wrap up the offseason here, simulate to the preseason. I'm not going to do any preseason video or anything like that. I will show off some of the roster moves in the opening week video, some of the preseason moves that I made, as I did make a couple. But anyway, that is going to do it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Hope you guys are excited for season number 3 of the Rams franchise. I know I am. I think we've got a real shot at contending for a Super Bowl, but we will have to see. So that's going to do it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.